Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Now I know what some of you are thinking right off the bat from looking at that title, and I've thought the same thing. Don't touch the Reeves verse. Don't touch the Batverse. It's perfect by itself. Trying to connect it to anything would ruin the vision. And I'm all about vision, man. I rant about it to the point where I passed the point of being a broken record stuck on loop. Screw the studios, let filmmakers create untethered by the shackles of a shared universe. The Batman will never meet Superman, never connect with Wonder Woman, never find solace in this league of lost souls. This will never happen. And hey, I'm not changing my tune. Connecting the DCU to the Batverse would probably result in a horrifically twisted, tainted vision of Pattinson's Bruce and of Matt's Gotham. Knowing the path these big blockbusters are speeding down, the graves they are digging for themselves, knowing how connected universes slowly over time tend to silence the voices of the filmmakers behind them in service of a unifying, uninspired, boring pitch, the Batman being retroactively becoming the first DCU movie is probably a terrible idea. I know, trust me, I know. But why does it have to be? But first, bills are overdue, and I'd like to give a quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, Temu. Temu is an online marketplace that offers affordable prices on a massive range of products. Things like household goods, accessories, decor, clothes, you name it, Temu will likely have it. It's your one-stop shop, man. You can always count on them to provide a site-wide sale on top of their great prices. Like right now, you can get up to 90% off site-wide. Best of all, I have a special secret discount for my US viewers, an additional 50% off for all new app users. Right now, by using my discount code, you can snag the Nintendo Switch OLED for just $274. The Switch normally goes for around $350 on other sites, so that's a massive discount you really can't beat. Click my link from your mobile device to download the app, add that Switch to your cart, and use my code DKF3524 within an hour of downloading Temu. Or you can even search my code within the app. You'll definitely need a game to play on the Switch, so I'd recommend The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That's only $39.82 on Temu. Let me know what other cool stuff you guys found on Temu, and happy shopping. Thanks, guys. Let me take you back to the ripe old age of 2005. I was playing my GameCube when all of a sudden, Christopher Nolan had just reinvented the superhero genre with Batman Begins. For better or worse, Hollywood will try to copy the outwards tone, the aesthetic, the vibe. James Bond will get his grounded origin story. Dracula will be untold. RoboCop gets a reboot. Even Tarzan now swings with gritty gorillas and cold-toned forests. The impact of Nolan's Batman, the collective misunderstanding by the big wigs as to why it worked, cannot be understated. Just a year later, Superman returns with a brand new spit curl. A brand new actor donning the cape, someone of similar age to Christian Bale. Fans speculate, trades question, and we all hope for that Batman and Superman movie, which would lead us to that sweet golden Justice League movie. I mean, it makes sense, right? DC's big two, audiences would assume that this Batman and this Superman could exist together. I mean, why not?
I'm sorry, Superman, but Batman, he's the badass, really.
They've been trying to make a Batman and Superman movie for years. A few years before Returns, Andrew Kevin Walker and Akiva Goldsman wrote a script where Jude Law's Superman and Colin Farrell's Batman duke it out after Joker kills Bruce's wife with a bee. Shortly after, George Miller cast kinky cannibal Armie Hammer to play Batman in this very out there but very classic-looking Justice League Immortal. Both of those never got made. And neither would a Christian Bale, Brandon Routh Superman Batman movie. It was not in the cards. Rather than force these two universes together, they completely ignore one another. Let's fast forward to 2013. Chris Nolan picks Zack Snyder to do a more grounded take on Superman, the literal Man of Steel to the Dark Knight. They probably beg Bale to come back for a Cavallonian crossover. I mean, it only makes sense. To everyone everywhere, Christian Bale was Batman. The audience loved him. Audiences loved those movies. But nope, nada. It was not in the cards. So they get another Batman, this time an older, more seasoned Batman. Another older, more seasoned Batman who could serve as not just an antagonist to this fresh-faced Superman, but as a seasoned crime fighter who lacks all the optimism and hope of the big blue Boy Scout. This will be the DC Extended Universe's Bruce Wayne. This Bruce is different from the grounded version of Nolan's Batman. This Bruce has already lived through so much, found his family, maybe even lost some of them. Finally, Batman and Superman exist together I mean, it sucks that their friendship is never really shown outside a few beats because, you know, Superman dies.
I failed him.
And then the universe died.
And he's coming!
But still, they shared the screen together. In 2025, a Batman movie is releasing, the sequel to the beloved first film that contained a fresh-faced emo boy, a younger, more naive and inexperienced Batman. In 2025, a Superman movie is releasing, a new fresh-faced farm boy, a younger, more naive and inexperienced Superman. The general audience will probably rightfully assume that these two coexist. I mean, they look similar in age. I mean, right now, to a lot of moviegoers, Pattinson is Batman and will be Batman for the next 10 years. David Corenswet will be Superman for the foreseeable future. I mean, is it wrong to assume that these two will meet, will one day share the screen? Is it wrong to assume that the Batman, this new Batman whom the audience has already connected to and will continue to grow with, would be a part of this new DC universe? Yeah, it is. In 2026, an older actor will star as yet another Bruce Wayne in Andy Muschietti's Brave and the Bold. This will be James Gunn's Bruce Wayne. This Bruce is different than the grounded version of Matt's Gotham. This Bruce has already lived through so much, found his family, maybe even lost some of them. This Bruce will be the Batman to this Superman, setting up for yet another older, more seasoned Batman to join forces with yet another fresh-faced farm boy. History continues to repeat itself. We have been playing this game for so long, too long. Look, when I heard they were making a Batman and Robin movie featuring Damian Wayne, my immediate thought was that it would be Dick Grayson behind the cowl. That way you can separate the two on-screen Batmen and keep the amount of Bruce Waynes in the world to just one. At least that way, these two separate worlds would not be stepping on each other's toes, right? Wrong. The Reevesverse will continue to grow, continue to tell more mature Elseworld stories across all mediums. A Penguin show, an Arkham show, at least 2 more sequels, and apparently a series of auteur-driven villain spin-offs. All with Pattinson's Bruce Wayne lurking in the shadows. And you know what? I'm sure all of those will be spectacular. I'm damn sure that this universe of Gotham stories will be my favorite on-screen universe of superhero stories. Fuck the MCU, fuck the DCU, I'm here for the fucking Pattinson you.
Vengeance.
If they are all held to the same standards as the Batman, I'm sure Penguin, Arkham, and whatever other stories they decide to tell will be beloved by the audience. On the flip side of that, you will have yet another Bruce Wayne hanging out with his son and most likely the Justice League. I'm sure whoever the next Batman is will be another 50 instead of 40-year-old handsome man with a nice chin who can play trauma. But why? I have so many questions, too many that I think about way too often. Will this new Batman also have a new Joker? Probably. Barry Keoghan, Joaquin Phoenix, and whoever they cast next, leading us to 3 separate Jokers on the big screen at the same time. Will Matt Reeves give us Robin? He seems to want to. It would make so much sense for Pattinson's character arc if he met another orphan who showed him how to grow up, who saves him from himself. Or is Reeves forbidden to have Robin since Brave and the Bold is about Robin? Is Brave and the Bold not allowed to have Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, Joker since we have connected with and enjoyed Reeves' takes on those characters? Why are we here to begin with? Why is WB going to have 2 competing connected universes at the same time? The whole idea of my guy Gunn's revamp is so that there is only one Superman across all media, one Batman, one Wonder Woman, etc. He's cleaning shop because the shop was so overstuffed, confused, and muddled. I mean, a movie starring Michael Keaton as Batman made less money than a Black Adam movie because the audience doesn't give a damn anymore. They only give a damn about the damn Batman. And the damn Batman is building a super cool universe of artistically told, well-crafted Batman stories. The damn Batman has, in my opinion, the greatest live-action take on Bruce Wayne ever. It's modern, it's timeless, it contains one of my favorite performances by an actor in a cape. I don't think they will find a better Batman. A Batman who is literally just getting started, who will grow and whom we get to grow with. It just makes so much sense, too much sense to just put the Batman into the DCU. But why can't they? I'll tell you why. The Batman is grounded. I truly fucking hate that term, even though I fell victim to using it way too many times. Grounded. Grounded in what? Our reality, our fears, our emotion? Nolan's Batman, especially once he dropped Gotham's Blade Runner aesthetic in service of Chicago, was entirely based around the idea of forcing Bruce Wayne into the real world. Even though you have a secret society of ninjas, fear toxin, and a Two-Face with a literal eyeball popping out of his head roaming the streets at night, his Batman was always considered a complete departure from anything fantastical. Reeves' Batman isn't nearly as adverse to the theatricality, the comic book nature. I think Nolan, in order to do Batman, had to change the character, the world, just enough to suit his style of filmmaking. I think Matt Reeves has no problem with the fanciful. He's made very emotionally grounded movies that cover trauma, oppression, violence, and isolation. Those movies contained a giant mother monster kaiju, a small teenage vampire, and an army of talking tormented apes. The Batman looks, feels far more like a stylized reflection of our reality, not a direct copy. Just because Bruce feels human does not mean that his world is our world. It's not. It's just similar enough, just close enough that we can relate to the systemic anguish of Gotham. If Matt ever wanted to do Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Man-Bat, he could. He very much could find a way to evolve the story to fit these more outlandish villains. Just because Gotham is always reigning, filled with traumatized victims wanting to lash out at a nonsensical, never-ending hell, does not mean that Metropolis cannot have a parasite. Just because Batman's foes are and have always been rooted in our very realistic fears and trauma, does not mean that Green Lantern can't take on fear itself. I actually think putting a grounded, broken Batman in a world where a big blue Boy Scout can be powered by our sun, or a space pilot can show us the lovely green light of his will, can be and would be brilliant. I think that the appeal of those varying tones, those opposing levels of scale, is the beauty of the DC Comics world. A beauty that separates, that detaches, and shows us something so different compared to Marvel's New York City. Every member of the Avengers practically lives in the same New York City. Tony Stark tosses his drink out his high-rise into the dumpster that Peter Parker is diving through down the block while Matt Murdock enters the church across the street. This has never been the case with DC. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Flash, Cyborg, Shazam, Green Arrow all come from different cities, different worlds, different tones. The stakes have always been smaller for Batman, but just as powerful. Look at the DC animated universe, which is without a doubt the best adaptation of this world that we love. The animated series, even with the dark deco aesthetic and some mutated misfits, is based in our reality, our fears, and our pain. Batman is trying to empathize with a broken scientist who just wishes to hold his wife once more, while Superman is fighting new gods over in Metropolis. It has always been this way. The beauty of putting just a man in a team in a universe filled with gods and monsters is the absurdity of it. Clark could lift the earth, Diana has a lasso that reveals our truth, and Bruce has nothing but a utility belt and his perseverance to keep on trying. Look at the Arrowverse, which is arguably, somehow, still the best live-action depiction of the DC Comics world. It all started with a Green Arrow show that's literal conceit was Green Arrow in the real world, and then slowly, maturely, gradually over time allowed mutants, supers, speedsters into their universe. You never questioned it, doubted it, because the world took itself seriously enough for you to believe in it. Even the first Iron Man, still one of Marvel's best, contains nothing in it that would lead you to believe that in 10 years, he would be fighting Chitauri invaders, teaming up with Norse gods, gamma mutating monsters, super soldiers, and snapping our reality back to safety. I get it. If Matt Reeves, if Robert Pattinson did not want to be forced to play in the current state of cinematic universes, the shambles of what was once considered extended, full of hope and promise, and what tragically ended up entirely contained, confused, and utterly corporate. I respect the choice to let Matty Boy do his thing. Hell, I would not blame them for wanting to be the weird artsy kids doing their own thing in the corner, in the elseworlds of the mess that is DC Films. I get that the head honchos probably did not want to wait until they were finished with their trilogy to get a Batman that played with the Justice League, that had a universe full of pre-established characters ready to become brand new IP. I am all for a Bat family, but I want to see the formation of that, not just the aftermath. Of course, WB wants an established Nightwing, a Red Hood, a Batgirl right away so that they can get your money right away. But I would much rather have had them wait to see what Matt Reeves does before deciding to go along and start anew with these characters who have already lived so many adventures. I don't think the idea of the Batman being, last time I'll say this or you can take me out to the back and shoot me, grounded, should have anything to do with why we will get yet another Bruce Wayne, yet another version of Gotham, yet another reinvention so soon, so simultaneously, competing for that spot in the dark. I get it. I do, but all I can see is one big missed opportunity. The Batman was the perfect modernization of the character. It questions the idea of a billionaire who should be using his wealth and power to help the city, but instead beats on those who are victims of that city's apathy. It does not do this in a way that acts above the character, smarter than the audience, but instead empathetically looks at how trauma has kept this young man locked up, chained, unable to connect, and unable to truly grow until he's faced with all the worst parts of himself. In the end, Bruce needed to become more than vengeance and pain. He needed to be that supporting hand, that guiding red light in the overwhelming darkness. You're not going to get another Batman movie that so succinctly, so expertly adores everything we love about the character, but questions everything that is morally gray about him without ever judging him for his inability to connect, to feel. Superman Legacy seems to be the Superman movie I've dreamt of. A Superman for the modern age that does not change the character, that does not contort him, but instead keeps him the big blue Boy Scout, the farm boy who is out of place in the big city, placing a very classic Superman in a contemporary reflection of our world, the embodiment of kindness in a world that is not kind. Everything that James Gunn has said about the project has me so unbelievably hyped. It sounds like the Superman to the Batman, except it's not really. Everything Gunn is planning to do, I'm all for. Finally, Swamp Thing, finally Green Lanterns, finally characters other than Batman. But when you have the Batman right there, a golden gem in a mine full of uninspired coal, to not find a way to utilize that world, that version of the character, is such a misfire. Maybe this all started because I saw this tweet a couple weeks ago and could not stop fanboy fantasizing about just how cool this duo would be, how much sense it made. Maybe this all started because I saw The Flash a couple weeks ago and have a pretty good idea of how Andy Muschietti will handle Batman. Lighter, jokier, larger scale. He flies, zips around straight out of a comic, but at the expense of depth.
This might hurt.
If I really want to end crime, I should end poverty.
No more detective, instead swashbuckling action hero. And that scares me. I don't want a DC filled with the same tone, the same large-scale giant beam in the sky, rushed computer-generated non-memorable movies. I want something as artistically driven as the Batman to be able to connect with something as huge as the Justice League. I want to be the only broken record here, the only thing that's endlessly repeating the same words into the void. Best case, I'm wrong. James knows and loves these characters. Best case in 2030, I'm making a video on just how incredible the world's finest movie was. I don't know, this whole mess of a video ramble rant has me reflecting on the bromance between Clark and Bruce. How much I've always longed to see an accurate depiction of that on the big screen. Not another story where Bruce is far older, far wiser, far more experienced than Clark, but a story where these two characters get to grow together, get to experience their greatest triumphs and greatest losses together. I believe so much of the DC universe depends on the brotherhood of these two. I see that with Pattinson's version of Batman and most likely Gunn's version of Superman. I see that with these two dudes. I see the potential of that, even if it ain't gonna happen. You know, this has me remembering this one moment from a comic I used to read with my old man. A small 2-page story filled with so much power, simply called When Clark Met Bruce. It's been ingrained in my mind ever since, but I haven't actually ever reread it until writing this video. I felt like I didn't need to, because I was worried it would not hold up to the standards of my nostalgic adoration. I was wrong. Clark Kent and Pete Ross, two young country kids, are playing some baseball on a nice sunny day. Clark ends up hitting the ball all the way to the edge of the road that passes through Smallville. A road where a young Bruce Wayne sits in sorrow. The two farm boys look in awe at the wealth on display. Bruce looks through the window, his world entirely devoid of color, his fresh grief consuming the life from the beautiful blues of the sky. Clark, being Clark, wants to ask this sad boy to play ball. Pete simply responds, "Clark, look at him. That kid has never played anything." Both Clark and Bruce remember this moment. Both of them are reflecting as grown Bat and Superman. I still wonder if we should have asked him to play, if it would have made a difference. Sometimes I wish they had asked me to play, but by then, my life had changed. I had no time for games. In a different life, these two kids, around the same age from entirely different worlds, maybe they would have had the time to play ball together. Maybe someday they will. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. This was a fun little rant to do. I don't know why I made this. There was no real reason other than I've been thinking a lot about how much of a missed opportunity it is to not put Pattinson into this. Just wait like 10 years till Matt Reeves is done with the trilogy, then like put a fucking dump trunk of money outside his house and maybe he'll do it, please. All right, guys, thank you. What do you think about this idea? What are you cool with another new Batman? Let me know. Jason trailer is probably out right now, hopefully. All right, bye. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely day.